Welcome to The Warp. I'm Jack Rita. In this video, I wanted to show off some of the aliens that I had made when I did my own custom set in the early 2000s. So this is the alien sheets. This is over 100 aliens that I made for my custom set. It does not include any of the Lucre aliens or Moon aliens or Tech aliens or aliens from special sets like Cosmic Dune or Lovecraftian Encounter. Those are all kept separate, and I'll showcase more of those in a separate video. So this is just the aliens from Mayfair Eon and some of my home brews, and I wanted to show some of the art, how I laid out the alien sheets and what I put on there. So this is Warpish, and I did this art. This art was originally made for Cosmic Encounter Online. But at the time, I didn't have any understanding of how to make vector art, so the art as is couldn't really be used, and Greg Olaka did a simplified version of it through some trickery on a computer, and that was the version that ended up in Cosmic Encounter Online. But I still have this original portrait. I've been using it as an avatar on like Board Game Geek and other sites for a long time, but it was Warpish art that I did myself. I did the sheets on white to save on printer paper. Of course, the sheets used to be black, although they were white for the Mayfair edition. So this is emulates that a little bit more. On the sheets, I've got the power description. I used my version of the Mayfair phase icons, and I don't have the histories. I actually remove the histories, and I put the aliens super flare effect on the sheets, and that is for a couple of reasons. One, I preferred to use the supers than having the histories. Back then, I didn't really care that much about the histories. There were even some aliens whose histories I had never read. I know it's good thematic fun, but on some of these, I didn't really have room if I was going to put the super effect on there, so I sacrificed the histories in favor of that. And that is because I wanted to be able to employ the super flare effects in other ways than just having the flare. And that is because in most games you are not going to get your alien super flare. And it's a really interesting and fun effect. It really helps take that alien to the next level. So I wanted to find ways to do it. And for instance, one of the variants is something called Super Shots that Patrick Riley created, and it was like having some charges so that you could use them a limited number of times throughout the game. And I have other things like techs or space stations and whatnot that give you a super shot charge. So it's good to have that effect easily referenced, so you're not having to fish it out or look it up online or something like that. So the rest of these aliens, when I was making them, especially the original Eon and or Mayfair versions, there was a lot of art that had already been created for these aliens. And I was not a big fan of the Mayfair art itself, so I was not going to use any of that, even though my set was very much in the style of Mayfair for a lot of things. I did have the classic Eon-style flares, but I had things like comets and, of course, reinforcements and other elements that I had put into my custom set. So when it came to the artwork, I was really looking at a lot of all the other editions, and I have most of the editions of Cosmic Encounter that have ever been published. So I wanted to find a way to honor all of those. So this Sorcerer, for instance, is from Simply Cosmic. And so I really enjoyed that art. I thought it would be a good change in there. This art for Oracle is from the Games Workshop version of it that was available in the UK. And as you can see, a lot of the artwork from that edition emulated the original Eon artwork in terms of what the alien itself looked like, but it was clearly done by a different artist. So I like that. In some cases, I stuck with the original Eon just because of how iconic a lot of that artwork is. Miser, this is one of my favorite alien pieces of art from the Eon edition, so I stuck with that one. This is an alien that one of my homebrews, Benefactor, and this artwork, of course, was not from it, but it's art that showed up on Cosmic Encounters online website for, it was like for an advertisement for, and it wasn't actually an alien that you could play, but that art was around. So I was like, I'm going to repurpose that art for something. This is another Games Workshop. So you can recognize some of the alien species on here, and but this was kind of redone for that edition. This Kronos, I believe, is from a German edition of Cosmic Encounter, as well as this art for Clone. So I thought that was kind of fun. This was my early version of Lunatic. So I designed this alien. It is in the Fantasy Flight edition. This is artwork that I did myself for my early version of Lunatic. Demon, another one of those iconic pieces of art from the Eon edition. I left that as is. I did even use some art from the Avalon Hill edition because while I didn't really think it was really good because so many of the aliens kind of looked the same, it was hard to tell one from another. In some cases, I was like, well, this will do for that. Here we have Chosen. This seems like it would be a pretty good alien for Chosen, even though Chosen was not one of the aliens in that set. Again, Games Workshop version. It looks a lot like the Changeling that was in the Eon edition. This is a pretty good take on Void. I enjoy that. This laser, this I think was from one of the Scandinavian versions, and again, it harkens back to that sort of thing, and some other interesting artwork that I thought would fit on there. So that's this set. I used to play with this set a lot in the 2000s, probably up until the Fantasy Flight edition came out. Because for me, it was like the best of all worlds. I actually had custom ships and custom player boards, the whole decks. I had done an entire custom version of the entire game. My first one was in the 90s, and it did use black alien sheets and everything on there. Most of the spots where the artwork was blank, and it was from a postscript for making your own components that some lunatic put on like the Rec Board Games CE news group, and so my friends and I got a hold of it, and we made a lot of stuff, and we made an entire set. Because when you start making custom cards for the Cosmic deck, they're, back then anyway, they were not going to match the regular ones, so we had to do the whole deck, and we had to do all the flares so that we could add in new flares, etc., etc. So this is from my second version, and I actually did a third version after the Fantasy Flight edition came out. I have my own alien sheets for that. I have my own cards, and I was using the planets and whatnot. But that's mostly in storage. I'll showcase that in a different video. But this is just all my homebrew aliens, my homemade set, set number 2. And let me know what you think of it. If you've made your own custom components, especially back in the day, let me know. I'd love to see that or hear more about it. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.